with a late-night host who's made a career out of pushing buttons. You're about to witness the moment Tom Hardy's legendary composure finally shattered, live on national television. It all began with what seemed like a harmless question about his personal life, but by the time it ended, the entire Jimmy Kimmel Live studio had fallen into stunned, breathless silence. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, don't forget to hit subscribe and drop a comment below, because this one might make you question everything you thought you knew about the late-night TV world. The atmosphere on set that Thursday night felt off. Tom Hardy had shown up to promote his latest film, but something about his body language was telling. Jaw tight, posture rigid, eyes unreadable. It was clear he wasn't in the mood for Jimmy Kimmel's usual brand of smirking humor. Still, Kimmel pressed on, unaware, or maybe too cocky to care. "So, Tom," he began with his signature grin, "I've gotta ask. There are rumors swirling around about your personal life. Your marriage, to be specific. Want to clear the air?" A beat of silence. Hardy's expression didn't change, but there was a glint in his eye. "Jimmy, I'm here to talk about the film. Let's focus on that, shall we?" Kimmel chuckled, but it was the kind of chuckle that pokes a bear with a stick. "Come on, Tom. You can't expect to keep everything private. You're in the public eye, mate. The tabloids are buzzing." The audience shifted in their seats. The tension was growing. "Thick," I said. Hardy replied, his voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "I'm here to discuss my work. My personal life is exactly that. Personal." Jimmy smiled again. Only this time, it felt forced. "Wow. You play all these tough guys, and yet here you are getting sensitive over a simple question. I'm not asking for nuclear codes, man." Hardy's accent thickened, always a red flag, for those who knew him well. "Sensitive?" he echoed. "No, Jimmy. That's called having boundaries. You should try it sometime." The temperature dropped. Kimmel tried pivoting. Okay. Let's talk about your method acting then. Heard you stayed in character for months during your last film. Must have been tough on people around you." Hardy's fists slowly clenched. "What exactly are you implying?" he asked. Kimmel raised his hands in mock surrender. "Nothing. Just... people in the business say you're intense, demanding, maybe even unstable." The room went still. Then Hardy leaned in. "Unstable? Is that what you just called me? On national television?" Behind the cameras, producers gestured frantically, but Kimmel, smelling good TV, didn't back down. "I'm just saying what I've heard. Maybe if you were more open, people wouldn't have to speculate." Hardy's voice dropped to a growl. "My process is none of your business. Neither is my marriage, or anything else that doesn't involve the work I came here to promote." He paused. "But since we're talking about difficult behavior, let me ask you something." Kimmel blinked. "How many guests have walked off this show, Jimmy? How many stars have refused to come here because of this cheap ambush style you call interviewing?" Jimmy tried to laugh it off, but the audience wasn't buying it. "We're just having a conversation." "A conversation?" Hardy's voice rose. Some audience members flinched. "You've spent 10 minutes trying to provoke me. You've questioned my professionalism, my sanity, my marriage, all for a reaction. You call that a conversation?" Kimmel looked rattled, truly rattled. "Tom, you're overreacting." Hardy stood up. The stage suddenly seemed smaller. "You want overreacting?" he said, towering over the desk. "You want unstable? Let's talk about what you do. Every night, you bring guests on under the pretense of promoting their work, then ambush them with gossip and snide jokes. You call it fun. I call it disgraceful. Even. The camera operators were frozen now, unsure whether to keep filming or cut to commercial. "Look, this is live TV," Kimmel stammered. "Things get heated, but—" "But what?" Hardy cut in, voice now thunderous. "There's no need to. Call out a bully? No need to defend myself while you try to dismantle my reputation for ratings." Kimmel was speechless. Hardy stepped closer. Gone was the charming actor. In his place stood a man pushed past his limit. "You can dress it up however you want." "Jimmy," Hardy said quietly, "but what you do isn't journalism. It's spectacle. And tonight—" The curtain just came down. With that, Hardy turned, removed his mic, and walked off the stage, leaving behind a crowd too stunned to even applaud. This wasn't just Tom Hardy, the movie star. This was a man who had spent years stepping into the skins of dangerous, volatile characters. And in that moment, Jimmy Kimmel was facing one of them in real life. "You know what your problem is, Jimmy?" Hardy's voice sliced through the stunned quiet like a razor. "You've been doing this for so long, you've forgotten the people sitting across from you are human beings, not just content for your next viral clip." Kimmel attempted a laugh, but it cracked into something closer to a cough. "Tom, maybe we should cut to a commercial break." "No," Hardy said sharply, planting both hands on the desk and leaning forward until he was inches from the host's face. "We're not going to a break. You wanted this to happen live. So let's keep it live. Let's talk about the real you." The audience held its breath. Producers gathered at the edge of the stage but didn't dare step in. "Let's talk about how you've built an entire career on making your guests squirm," Hardy continued, voice like thunder held just beneath the surface. "You think sitting behind that desk gives you the right to poke and prod, to humiliate people under the guise of being funny. But it doesn't. It just makes you a coward with a platform." Kimmel's complexion had drained of color, sweat forming beneath the hot studio lights. "Tom, it's just entertainment. People expect—" "Entertainment?" Hardy barked a bitter laugh. "Is that what you call digging into someone's marriage, their mental health, their family? All for ratings." He straightened to his full height, towering now, his presence swallowing the stage. "You didn't cross a line, Jimmy. You obliterated it. You've spent the last 15 minutes trying to push me to the edge, and now that I'm there—" "What? You want to pivot? Talk about the movie?" Kimmel's voice wavered. "Maybe we just got off on the wrong foot. Maybe we can—" "Now you want to talk about my work?" Hardy's voice rose. "After dragging my name through the dirt on national TV, after trying to provoke me for a reaction like this, is some kind of circus?" Some audience members began filming, phones raised despite the no recording policy. They knew they weren't witnessing a late-night segment. They were witnessing a breakdown in the carefully constructed illusion of talk show civility. "You think you're safe behind that desk, don't you?" Hardy began pacing, the energy in the room shifting with every step. "You think being the host makes you untouchable. But let me tell you something about territory, Jimmy." He stopped and locked eyes with the host, a stare so intense it could melt steel. "I've played killers, soldiers, survivors. I've embodied men who've clawed their way out of hell, and every single one of them taught me the same lesson. Never back down from a bully." Kimmel was visibly trembling now, his showman's mask in tatters. "Tom, let's just what? Pretend this didn't happen? Laugh it off? Move on to the next poor soul you can exploit for a cheap laugh?" Hardy's voice boomed through the studio. "How many people have sat in this chair and walked away feeling worse about themselves because of you? How many families had to watch you mock someone they love, just so you could get a few more clicks on YouTube? Kimmel tried to speak, but no words came. Hardy wasn't finished. "This is your show?" Hardy laughed again, low and dangerous. "So that gives you permission to treat your guests however you want? To ambush them? Degrade them? Also, your audience can get a good chuckle." Suddenly, Hardy slammed his hand on the desk with a crack. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Kimmel flinched hard, the audience gasping as one. "You want to know about method acting, Jimmy?" Hardy growled, stepping in close again. "I've spent years learning how to become people. Real, broken, powerful people. And every single time, I carry a piece of that back with me. Because you can't fake truth. You can't pretend pain. And what you do, night after night." He leaned even closer, and for the first time in his career, Kimmel looked genuinely terrified. "That's not truth, Jimmy. That's cowardice hiding behind a punchline." The silence that followed was total, and somewhere deep in that studio, beneath the lights, beyond the cameras, the myth of late-night invincibility quietly shattered. "You want to know about staying in character?" Hardy leaned in again, his face just inches from Kimmel's. "Right now, I'm not acting. This isn't some role. This is me, Tom Hardy, telling you exactly what I think of you. And your pathetic excuse for a talk show." Kimmel's voice, weak and cracking, finally escaped his lips. "Security. I think we need Hardy stood up slowly, flashing a bitter smile. "You're calling security on a guest because he's telling you the truth, because he's no longer playing your little game." The entire studio froze. Even the camera operators had stopped moving. No one dared to breathe. "Here's what's going to happen, Jimmy," Hardy said, his voice dropping to a low, ominous growl. "I'm going to say what I came here to say, and you, for once in your smug little career, are going to sit there and listen. You're going to face the consequences of your actions." With deliberate calm, Hardy began unclipping his mic. "Then I'm going to walk off this stage, and you, well, you can explain to your audience and your network why one of Hollywood's biggest stars just called you out live on national television." Kimmel grasped at control. "Tom, look, we can cut this. We'll fix it in post." "No, one has to." "You think this is going away?" Hardy's voice exploded. "You think you can edit your way out of this? Jimmy, this is live. Millions of people just watched you get exposed, in real time, for exactly what you are." The silence that followed was absolute, a historic, career-defining stillness. Kimmel sat frozen, pale, humiliated, visibly trembling. Hardy towered, over him like a judge delivering the sentence. "You know what's truly tragic?" Hardy said at last, his voice now cold and composed, far more dangerous than before. "You actually had talent. Once, before you got drunk on your own relevance, before humiliating people became easier than telling a real joke." Kimmel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. The arsenal of one-liners and nervous chuckles had abandoned him. "I did my homework, Jimmy. Before I agreed to this show, I watched hours of your interviews. I saw the pattern. When it's someone powerful, an A-lister, you pander. You laugh too hard. You play the safe questions. But when it's someone up and coming, someone hungry, someone who actually needs this, that's when you strike. That's when you push them until they flinch." Hardy resumed pacing, not frantic this time, deliberate, controlled, like a predator circling wounded prey. "You break them down for sport, for laughs, for clips that go viral," he said. "And you know what's worse? You made it fashionable. You built an entire culture around this cruelty. Now other hosts mimic you, thinking that's what good television looks like. People in the audience were now openly recording, despite the no-phone policy. Producers had long since given up. This wasn't a segment anymore. It was a reckoning. Kimmel croaked. "Tom, I didn't intend to hurt anyone." Hardy interrupted, his tone like a blade.